To say. So we put them together to say the law. Jurisdiction literally means to say the law. I'll say what the law is, and then it will magically be that way. You know? That's why they call themselves authorities. Author. What does an author do? They write things. See? So in your mind, you're thinking, they make things right. They make the rights. See? That's how mind control works, through words. And people never see it because they never stop to even break down the word or consider where it came from. Whenever you're hearing or seeing the word authority, you're seeing the word author, which in your mind you equate with writing something. W-R-I-T-I-N-G, writing. But phonetically, that is the same as writing. R-I-G-H-T-I-N-G, writing something, making it right. And the mind doesn't separate those concepts at a subconscious level. Okay? Hence is why they call themselves authorities, writers. And that is what they do. They write down the law. They call themselves legislators. I write down what the law is, and then it magically becomes so, on my whim or preference. And you know what that's called? I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's called claiming to be God, is what that's called. Authority is nothing more than an illusion that only exists in people who are mentally ill. If you believe in authority, there's disease within the human psyche. Period. I don't care who's offended by that, get as offended about it as you want. Authority exists only in a diseased mind, because the concept is based entirely in violence and built upon the erroneous and dogmatic belief system that some people are masters who have the moral right to issue arbitrarily chosen commands that they call their laws, and other people are the slaves of that ruling class who have some sort of a moral obligation to obey the master class. And we call this authority. You know what I call it? I call it what it really is, slavery. It's called slavery. It always has been slavery, it is slavery now, and it always will be slavery. Let's stop euphemizing things. Let's call bullshit for what it is, okay? There's no inherent legitimacy to the concept of slavery, and never has been, and never will be. And we need to understand that's what that is. Authority is slavery, but we're just euphemizing it and calling it something different. Authority is the belief. The belief in the legitimacy of authority is the belief in the legitimacy of slavery. If you believe in authority, you have legitimized the concept of slavery. All believers in authority, all, blanket statement, ego hates blanket statements. All believers in authority are believers in slavery and supporters of it. 100%. Always have been throughout the entire time that the universe has existed, and always will be for as long as the universe exists. Blanket statement. Authority is nothing more than the idea that man can become God and through jurisdiction dictate the law. That's man wanting to be the creator of the universe and decide for himself what right and wrong actually are, instead of discovering those laws of nature that the creator has put into effect. It's the same old story, folks. It goes back for tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. There's nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new here. It's the same story of slavery that's been going on since this species has existed on this planet. It was just called different things throughout time. You know, we had the old world order. It used to be called kingship. Kingship, the sovereign on the throne. Yeah, we still have kings and queens in certain countries. The unimaginable, unmitigated gall. Somebody calling themselves a king over other people. They're my subjects. I mean, you have to be joking. This concept that authority is vested in one. That person is the representative of God on the planet. You know? Has anything changed? Or have we just said, we've taken this old world quote order, you know, I put order in quotations because it can't result in order. It's actually the ancient slavery chaos system. Both of these things. And nothing has changed. Okay? The so-called old world order, nothing of the kind. The old world chaos. Now we have the new world chaos. They call it the New World Order. Well, I put new in quotes here and order in quotes because there's nothing new about it and there's nothing orderly about it. It's the old world chaos, the old world slavery. It just has a different name. We've wrapped it up in a more attractive package. Oh, I see, we have diffused the authority. Now, it's not just vested in one person because people would realize the inherent bullshit in that. It's now vested in a few people that call themselves government. We've taken the same magic, the thing that doesn't actually exist, this magical thing that is based in violence and coercion, and we've just diffused it. You know, we've diffused it through now several people have that magic. Okay? I mean, it can't get any more nonsensical, illogical, ridiculous, and immoral. And yet people still believe in it. This is their religion. It's their religion. It's their slavery, is what it is. Okay? Because it doesn't make a difference. Authority vested in one, authority vested in few, it's the same thing. Slavery. And being awake means knowing that definitively, deeply. There's only one true divide that exists in humanity. All the other things that supposedly separate us are divide and conquer strategies. Race, ostensible religion, background, social status, amount of money people make, how people dress, how people talk, what people look like. Divide and conquer. All divide and conquer strategies. Age, sex. It's all just ways of dividing people so that they're easier to conquer and rule. But there is one legitimate difference, and it has to do with the level of consciousness that people are at. And again, consciousness meaning the demystified concept of consciousness that I talked about in the first section, the ability to recognize patterns and meaning with respect to what's taking place within you and around you in your environment. That's it. So how much are you aware of the pattern? How much of the truth are you actually taking in and processing accurately and understanding? That's what I'm talking about by a different level of consciousness. There's only one true division in humanity that separates us into two distinct types of individuals. And that the criterion for that divide, for that difference, is whether or not an individual believes in authority and therefore believes that there is legitimacy to slavery or not. That's it. That's the only real difference between human beings. And this is what it looks like, the one true divide. The statist or the anarchist. And I searched for some memes on social networking to find, a good image that represents the general concept of the statist and the anarchist. You could find 1 million of them for statists. You'll just look at any police brutality image, and there's billions of them online. But I took this kind of funny cartoon meme that says statism is the brilliant idea that we give a small group of people the right to kidnap, imprison, harass, steal from, and kill people so that we can be protected from the people who kidnap, harass, steal from, and kill people. It makes so much logical sense, don't you think? I love the statist argument that we need to be protected from ourselves because human nature is fundamentally bad. So we're going to put the concept of authority into the hands of people whose nature is fundamentally bad to protect us from ourselves because we're fundamentally bad. Wonderful, flawless logic, as you can readily see. Flawless logic. Flawless logic. And it goes back to that worldview schism. That schism about how do you view human nature as well. The human nature schism. Are we inherently good and wonderful beings or inherently flawed and evil demonic beings? When in the truth of the matter is, we're neither. Those two conditions are just that, conditions. They're not our nature. Our nature is that we are programmable such that we can become either of those extremes if we're programmed well or badly. So when I was looking for an image to represent anarchy and anarchists, I didn't see any good ones because they give you these utterly ridiculous concepts of anarchists are people that are all about creating chaos and damage in society. Okay? You look up anarchy on Google Images, anarchist on Google Images, you'll get the so-called black bloc, these children that are nothing but communists in disguise, okay, who think that communism is anarchy, all right, because they've read the absolutely polluted writings of Karl Marx and Frederick Engels, etc., okay, and advocate, yeah, well, let's take everything, give all resources into the hands of the state. We'll magically be free then. And then they think anybody who disagrees with them is a dyed-in-the-wool, crony capitalist that believes money is the solution to everything, and human greed should see no bounds, That's why people have a hard time with my work. I don't believe in any of it. I'm out of the mind control, out, 100% out. All of those systems do nothing but lead to control and slavery. Okay? And that's what other people need to get out. Out is the answer. Out is the solution. Get to the outside of that so you can see it from the outside for what it is. Something that destroys human innovation, creativity, freedom, love, etc. That's all those systems do. That's all they ever have done. So when I was looking for an image to represent a real anarchist, I didn't want to be too egotistical and just put my face up there, or some of my other friends who are also real anarchists. I saw this meme on Facebook and I said, yeah, that's it. Christ, the ultimate spiritual warrior, the ultimate anarchist. And again, please don't fill up my inbox saying, don't you know all about astrotheology? I could write books on astrotheology. I probably may even do that in the future, okay? I get it's allegorical. I get there is doubts to the historicity of the actual historical figure, and I don't care because it's the message that matters. Who is Christ warring against? He was warring against the established religious institutions of his time, the Pharisees and Sadducees. Okay? When he put out works that went against their so-called law, okay, there was a big uprising against his word. Then the banks of the day became involved because when he went to the temples and they were charging ridiculous interest rates on temple coins, preventing people who actually wanted to go to the temple and worship, they couldn't. So then he freaked out in the temple and turned all the bankers against him. And then who ultimately did the crucifixion? The state, the Roman Empire, which was the police and military of his day. And people in the actual religion who say they're into the scriptures can't even read them and see the institutions that this being was warring against was religion, money, and government. They can't even see that when it's right out in the open in their face. And these are the things they put up on a pedestal. It's a joke and they're fake-ass Christians. Okay? It's called looking at the exoteric, the outside, and never getting into the deep, fundamental, core, spiritual, and moral truths that lie at the center. Because they're too concerned about all the trappings, So the ultimate anarchist is right there. And what I'm here today to tell you is that there is no such thing as an awake being that has ever been a statist. Never one. Every truly awake being that has ever existed in the cosmos is an anarchist. And can never not be one who is an anarchist. One who believes that there is no such thing as the legitimacy of ruling and owning other people. Because that's what an anarchist is. Someone who believes there is no legitimacy to the external rulership or ownership of other people, or in other words, that there is no legitimacy to slavery. That's what anarchy really is. And I'm going to explain that right now. Okay, a statist is an individual who erroneously believes that there is such a thing as authority vested in certain human beings, magically giving them the right to rule over other people. Without euphemism, if we stop euphemizing things and we're honest with ourselves,